Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to BKS Tech Talk Live, podcast episode 12. Hope everybody is having a great week. I know here we are at BKS. It's been a busy week. Apologize for missing last week. I was out of town at a conference and I was taking care of some things. So we're back this week. Figured I would jump in right away and kind of talk about what happened last week with the pipeline breach down, I think it was in Florida. The people that it was a ransomware attack. So what is ransomware? Ransomware is when somebody, nefarious character, will encrypt your data. I really don't want to talk about how to prevent ransomware today because there really is no way to prevent it 100%. The only way to really do good hygiene on ransomware is end user training and good backups. They're the only two ways you're going to not pay a ransom. And even then, you're not guaranteed 100% the ransom payment is going to work. It usually does, more often than not, work. So there's that. But that being said, just make sure that you are keeping an eye on everything with ransomware. What I do want to talk about is, are you prepared for when you do have a breach? Effectively, does that mean, do you have an incident response plan? What happens if you get breached? What is your chain of command? What is your steps? What's your next steps? Thinking about those things logically when you're not in an emergency crisis situation is extremely beneficial, because you will be able to finally figure out the methodical process that you need to go through. Breaches can be large, can be small. Who do you need to notify? Are you financially required, or contractually, or I apologize, I'm having a issue talking today. Or regulated industry, notifying someone. Do you notify your governing body? Do you notify your customers? Do you notify your cybersecurity company? The answer is, if you're in the middle of it, you're not going to be able to think that stuff through, and you're probably going to miss something important. So sit down now and go through a breach. And a breach can be something like a phishing attack. Someone's email was compromised. Who do we notify? What do we do? What happens? What are the steps? Do we document it? Are we required by law to document it? All of my company's email was compromised, or we found a hole that was opened up in our firewall. I have heard of it as little as, hey, my employee lost his or her cell phone and they didn't have the software lock turned on. So we don't know if there's been a breach, but what do we do? When you're walking through the what do we do scenario, you're going to kind of come up with some controls that you have to put in place. So, for example, a phone breach, if you have the password requirements, you won't have that breach. So you're going to increase your security posture and your security controls by just having the conversation about what is our incident response plan. A well thought out plan will save you time, energy, and money in the event that you do have to have an expert or something that with the breach. Having a list of forensics IT people that can come to the rescue and provide you the information on where it went, who was any data actually removed, or was it just encrypted? Do you need to worry about data being publicized on the internet? And maybe you could find out where it came from. Was it a user that clicked on something or not? So those are the things that if you think about them ahead of time, so when there is a breach, you pick up the phone and you already have this plan. Step 1, notify this person. Step 2, this person. Step 3, this person, and so forth. Incident response plans are very much not technical. They lead to technology. Contact your information security team, contact your IT team, contact your forensics IT team, and let them do their job, locking it up, cleaning it up, reviewing logs, etc. The rest of it is policy and procedure. All logs must be maintained. Do not delete. Do not destroy logs. Contact your cybersecurity insurance company. Contact your attorney. If you're of a regulated industry, contact your regulator if you're required to. Review the breach. Figure out the scope. If you had a breach and it was just my email, do a quick scope of my email. Is there anything in my email that could be harmful to the company? No? Then your breach is minimal, and your incident response action on that is different than if my email was breached, and because my email was breached, I have admin rights, and now they have admin rights, and they're in the system. They have access to all of our emails, including our CEO, and in that CEO was some very confidential information about XYZ. Same start to the breach, different, much bigger outcome to the breach. So need to have the incident response plan that documents that. So the question that I put out there was, are you prepared for a breach? I don't think anybody really is. We hope that it happens to our neighbor, not us. In truth, we probably all had a truly defined breach. We've all been a victim of a phishing scam. I can probably do a dark web monitor search for a lot of my friends' email addresses and find some passwords that they either are currently using or have used in the past. So the breach is almost inevitable. It is what you do as a company to maintain your posture going forward, how long you're going to be down, what customers you can lose, how much cybersecurity insurance do you have to cover yourself. So if you've got all of that figured out and documented, great, you're ahead of the rest of the team. And I'm sorry. However, if you don't have all that documented, you need to work with your IT professional to create a set of policies and procedures around incident responses and breaches. And work backwards and forwards from that to maintain policies and controls and procedures for the things that will help you prevent a breach. So an incident response policy says this is what we're going to do in the event of a breach. You can dictate out some of the things in there that's, breach size, breach example, and you can allude to the controls that are probably in another policy, like a password policy, or a patch policy, or a access policy to that extent that will implement the control. Those are that's where you get started with incident response. I would love to have a conversation with anyone about helping them write their incident response plan. If you've got one, great. Comment below. Let me know how long it took you to build it. Let me know if you have any insight to provide. I'm always interested to learn examples of what other people have done with their incident response plans. If you are a regulated industry, you probably have to have one. So make sure that you've got yours up to date and you have it documented and you review it. Highly recommend that once you write it, you should sit down with a team of people and do what we call bench it or tabletop it. So you get a bunch of the people from your office and you pretend to have a breach. You come up with a scenario and then you read your document and you implement based off of that scenario. It'll help you find your gaps in your system. It'll help you get more in tune with your controls and fine print on what things you may or may not be wasting time and energy on, and or resources. So if you have an incident response plan, and let's say it's a major breach, your IT team is going to be very busy. I am so sorry today. That is not normal. I shut the window in here because it was getting hot or getting cold, and it was going to be loud for the thing, and now it's getting hot, so making me tired. The incident response plan is a living, breathing document that you have to change on a regular basis. So testing it, tabletop testing it on a regular basis is going to be pivotal to making sure that you keep your systems up and running. Monitoring all those other controls, working the policies as a whole is going to make sure that you actually are implemented and secure. Like I said earlier, it's not a matter of preventing these viruses. It's a matter of what you do to recover from them. You're going to get something at some point. It's inevitable. What you allow a actor to have access to because you have implemented the proper security rights could be limited. If you can limit the breach to just a single computer and not let it hit the rest of your network or your company, your customers or your servers, that is a lot easier and cheaper to repair from than if it hits your entire network, which is what I believe happened. I haven't read the full articles about any of the debriefs for the pipeline, but I believe that's what happened, is they hit the entire network. Go ahead and comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Like I said, I want to hear about your incident response plan process. What did you do? Love to talk to you about it. If you have any questions, please reach out at social media at BKS-systems. Otherwise, we'll be here for you, and let me know about what you want to talk about next week. Otherwise, I'm just going to come up with something, and you guys might be bored. So, once again, I'm Chad Holstad of Business Knowledge Systems. Thank you all for tuning in today. Look forward to talking to you guys next week. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk next week. Comment below if you have any questions or you want to talk. Thanks again. Have a good one.